Another gloomy day in the kingdom. You're a cut purse, earning your way by liberating coin from unsuspecting adventurers' pockets. You've heard of the Forgotten Castle, the Goblin Caves, the Frost Mountain, but you've never been. Your talents have been noticed, not by the city guard, but by the guild leader himself. Last night, a crow came to the window of your shack.
Alleyway, behind the tavern.
The bird said.
Guild is watching. Guild is watching.
Well. So you think you got what it takes, huh? You've got that look about you. But do you have the agility, the strength, the dexterity to become a member of the guild? Let's see that knife you got in your pocket. Not bad. Not bad. Alright. We'll take your measure. The guild is always watching. Why don't you go inside and pay the tavern master a visit? I'll show you my table. We can talk business there. Welcome in. Grab a seat, grab an ale. We might be here for a minute. We're gonna give you the full initiate experience. So you want to be a rogue, eh? Good. That's the best place to start. What's a rogue good at? The things that make you better than other classes. You can get around the dungeon unseen, and particularly you're good at being choosy at taking fights. You can avoid them, or you can also be an opportunist, coming in at the last moment to secure a kill. You're hard to catch. In group fights, you can assassinate key targets or find opportunities in the dungeon and play to your advantages. You've got quick object interaction speed, so that means you can open chests quickly, you can open doors and close doors quickly. One of the fastest in the game, not the fastest, but pretty dang quick. You've got high movement, so this means that you can move around the dungeon a lot quicker than other classes can. At least in a base kit. Daggers are one of the highest DPS weapons in the game, although severely limited on range. In the right hands, they can be absolutely deadly. Now for some of the cons, you're going to have low HP, you're going to be squishy, mate. You're going to be weak to ranged opponents and magic opponents just because of the range there. Once the enemy knows your position, you've lost a significant edge that the class has. If you make a mistake in a fight, that punishment is very often going to lead to your demise. And lastly, they are incredibly gear dependent, more so than other classes, namely because your base stats are very low in the places where you need them to be high. So we'll go over some benchmarks later on. Right now, let's just cover some of the basics. You're starting off, so let's talk about Squire gear. Let's talk about normal lobbies. So first and foremost, as you're leveling up, the first perk you're probably going to want to take is going to be Poison Weapon. And I typically run Rupture and Smoke Pot. You're going to need at least Stealth to make Hide worth it. So once you're level 10, you can potentially run Hide instead of Smoke Pot. When you first start off as a rogue, you just want to kill monsters, complete quests, open up blue portals, get in and out of the dungeon quickly. I would not engage in any fighting if you can avoid it. Once you're level 20 though, this is what a very basic set will look like for your perks and for your skills. You're just going into normal lobbies. I'd even run these if you're playing solo in the rare lobbies, the rare normal lobbies. So this is what your basic Squire kit is going to look like. Even if you do not have white Squire gear unlocked, you should stack as much strength and move speed as possible. As long as you're playing in solos, move speed and strength are going to be your two key factors. Once you have white gear unlocked, you can swap some of these pieces out for even more move speed or more dexterity, right? So the reason why we want to do that is because any point below 15 is going to give you a negative physical power bonus, and this is going to affect your weapon damage. Make sure that you're hitting that 15 strength in your base kits. It's very, very important. Once we've hit that, the next two things that are most important are going to be your move speed and your dexterity. Okay, now once you've got white quest unlocked, this is what your base kit's going to look like for your normal lobbies for your ungeared rogue. Stiletto dagger, shadow mask, wanderer attire, loose trousers, riveted gloves, lace turn shoes. I'd recommend running the stiletto dagger over the rondelle or the Chris just because the damage is a little higher. You've got some built-in armor pin, and the 3-hit weapon combo that the stiletto dagger does comes out a little bit faster than some of the other attacks from your other daggers. For trio lobbies, I'd recommend running the same thing, except for maybe you swap out the shadow mask for the shadow hood for a little bit of additional strength. Give you maybe a couple points of health, probably lower your move speed by just a couple. But in trios, move speed is a little less important. Things like damage and HP are a little bit more important. So now we're in the Goblin Caves. I just wanted to showcase a couple of the starter weapons for you. The difference in their damage done versus how fast they can do their damage, their swing speed, right? So we've got the rondelle to start. Rondelle has some strengths, very consistent damage, right? Very easy to aim, a little bit more range than some of the other daggers. Now, the stiletto. That 3-hit combo is a little faster than what the rondelle's going to do, and 39, 39, 46 is going to be more damage than what the rondelle was doing. A lot of times in a melee fight, you just want to get those 3 hits in and get out. Now the Chris knife is going to be even slower than the other two, but it has the 4th hit on the end. So overall, this combo does more damage, but it requires you to stay in melee combat a little bit more. Now we'll cover some of the builds for the other lobbies, starting off with the rare normal lobbies, where you can equip only blue tier gear. Because the stat spread is limited, there's not a lot of variation here. Here's a brief overview of the stats that we've got. We've hit the 15 strength, we've juiced up our HP a little bit, and then we've stacked dexterity and move speed to sufficient levels. Some of those benchmarks I was talking about before, if you're hitting 25% action speed, that's a pretty good base point for blue lobbies. Around 320 move speed is good as well. 120 HP, solid. 15 strength, you're ready to go. So we'll cover some of the stats that typically we're looking for in blue gear. They're going to be, well, you'll recognize a trend. You want to make sure you're getting the high weapon damage roll on your dagger. Stiletto daggers can be 23 or 24. There's no point in getting 23. Always get 24. We've got a leather cap here with dexterity and move speed on it. We've got a frost amulet with dexterity and health. We've got a wanderer's attire. Vigor and agility. Rings of quickness. True fizz. Very important to get as much true fizz as possible in pretty much all the lobbies. Ring of courage here. Reinforced gloves. Brave hunters. If you're looking for a cheaper option for your pants, I'd recommend going loose trousers, or if you're playing trios, running cloth trousers. Cloth pants? Right. You got light foot boots here with additional move speed and physical damage bonus, and a tattered cape to make sure that we hit with that 15 strength. For your hand crossbow, in my opinion, it's very important to get action speed on your hand crossbow just to aid in the reload time. Pretty simple kit here. Every time I build a blue kit, it looks about just like this. Now you could potentially swap out the leather cap for a Shadow Hood or a Shadow Mask, depending on if you want more move speed, more action speed. You know, play around with the numbers, see what you're comfortable with, see what you like. Maybe you like the Chris knife instead of the stiletto dagger, right? In that case, you want a little bit more move speed and swap in a Shadow Mask here. Maybe you like the Rondell, so you want a little bit more damage to make up for the lack of weapon damage that a Rondell has, and you're running a Shadow Hood. If you need a little bit more HP, you can always run a Peace Necklace here. Now we'll cover some of the no-hide variants in High Roller. We'll start off with the Tank Rogue. Tank Rogue, most important stats are going to be HP, your move speed, and your physical damage reduction. This variant is very good at stat checking other melee combatants, your fighters, your barbarians, your bards, your bonk clerics, your bonk warlocks, bonk wizards. The name of the game here is basically daggers out DPS most of the other classes. You've got so much HP and tankiness that you can handle getting beat up a little bit, and you'll wind up just out-trading them in a melee. So, leather cap, this is going to be the highest armor piece that you can equip. Marauder outfit, Rings of Vitality or Grim Smile ring. You want to always be making sure you hit that 15 strength. Heavy leather legs, rugged boots or Frostlight rugged boots, reinforced gloves, vigilant cloak, a necklace of peace, and since you're not running hide, you can run a Rondell or a Chris and a lantern. Here's a look at some of the stats here. We're hitting around 45. This can potentially go all the way up to 60% if you swap in a couple unique pieces here. This is like a solo build where you are just stat checking people. Do this in the Goblin Caves and you'll come out a rich man. So we come upon a couple of teamers here. Two tanky fighters. Well, the one guy's butt naked. They don't really have anything crazy for gear, but this will showcase how this build works against two people at the same time, right? Or at least like a back-to-back fight. Yeah, he gives a sign to the other guy that they're buds. So they swap out, giving the other guy time to heal up. We land a couple throwing knives here. We avoid his shield with the Rondell. Put him down in a couple of hits. No big deal. Haven't even healed the full here. The main reason why I wanted to show this clip is because it shows you how little damage they deal and how many times you can make mistakes if you've got high HP and high PDR on a rogue. Guy hits me a couple times there with throwing axes. They don't do anything. He's hit me twice. He's hit me 3 times, 4 times. He's even got off the parry from the lantern shield. And it's barely enough to bring me past half HP. Pretty simple. This is what I'm talking about when you can just stat check people. It doesn't require much skill. You've just got better stats than they do, better gear than they have. You've built better. Maybe that makes you smarter. Maybe that makes you cooler. You certainly feel cooler as you run your filthy hands through their pockets and liberate their sweet gear from their cold, dead corpse. The other no-hide variant that you'll see a lot of rogues playing, especially some of the really high-skilled ones, is the Mosquito Rogue. This rogue in particular is going to benefit from having 2 hand crossbows equipped. So you'll fire one, fire the other. A very, very high move speed. You can focus your HP less, but you need things like high action speed, high damage, high move speed. With all true fizz. As much true fizz as you can get. So I'm trash at the Mosquito build. Certainly not my favorite way to play. So we featured a clip from Squirm the Stiletto here, an absolute god of the Mosquito build. Check this one out. So he lands his Rupture first, saves his Cutthroat to remove some buffs from the Barbarian. New ranged attacks, full twist of the knife, easy kill. That's Goblin. The main strategy with this variant is to deal damage from ranged, keep away from your opponent, pepper them with throwing knives, pepper them with hand crossbow attacks, with Rupture, with poison, until they're low enough that you can engage them in melee or chase them down and kill them. my personal favorite way to play the rogue is as an ambush assassin. What you imagine the class when you first come to it, right? Creeping in the shadows, sneaking up on your targets, finishing them off quickly, and getting out. You're lightweight, you're squishy, you're high damage, but the payoff for being able to get in, close the gap on someone through invisibility, and kill them is very high. You can make plays that save your team in trios, or you can quickly dispatch opponents in solos, especially when they're not aware of where you're at. So typically the hallmarks for this build are going to be things like 30% action speed, maybe around 120 health, 330 move speed or higher, and at least 20% physical power bonus. The perks that we're running with this are going to be Creep, Poison Weapon, Dagger Mastery, Stealth, Cutthroat, and Hide. So this is what I'm talking about, where Rogue is able to make the play to win the fight. We're able to open up on the fighter and push him off from guarding the choke point at the door. We don't do enough damage to kill him, but we definitely get him low. We catch him with the wrong weapon in hand, which is crucial, and are able to push through further into the room. The enemy rogue chases us, but we've still got high enough health because we got out of the fight fast enough before we took too much damage, so we're able to turn on the rogue and finish him off. Gotta make mention of the skill weak point. If you combine it with thrust and ambush, you can absolutely devastate tanky frontliners and totally break an enemy team, allowing your own party members to get to the enemy's back line. So keep that in mind when you're trying to outfit your rogue and figuring out what's going to work best with your party.
Choose your character.
Alright, Initiate. Which one are you picking? Creep? Tank? Mosquito? Something else? Nice.
Hey, have you seen that new guy?
Yeah, he's been hanging around Guild Leader. Must be trouble. Ooh.
So in this next section, we're going to cover the guild's approach to the different maps, where the points of interest are, what rooms to avoid if you're just farming, how to plan a route, and how to deal with a few of the sub-bosses. Now all the dungeon modules are randomized, so here's a little snapshot in the Goblin Caves. The boss rooms are going to be in this module here, Goblin Towns B, and then in this module here, further to the south, I think it's called Goblin Maze. Maybe Goblin Maze A. Goblin Town B is where the troll is, Goblin Maze A is where the Cyclops is, and then there's going to be another module, Cave Altar. That's where the treasure room is going to be after you've unlocked both boss doors. So if you're looking for PvP, these are the places to go. This is where you're most likely to run into other players. If you're trying to avoid it, well, depending on the layout of the map, you might have a whole big section that's probably not going to be explored too heavily. You still might have to look out for players that are pathing through rooms to get to one of the points of interest. You can avoid them, especially if you're a rogue. Now, if you're looking to just rat it up, not really engage in PvP, get some nice loot, and try to escape, then I'd recommend these two modules to you. One's called the Cave Tomb, the other one's like the Spider's Nest or something like that. The Cave Tomb is going to have a bunch of skeleton corpses in it, a royal treasure coffin, and an Alliance head chest, or possibly a gold chest. In its center, the Spider's Nest has got like half a dozen giant spiders in it. They're likely to drop spider silk. It's used for a lot of crafts. Another way to earn a little bit of gold. Also in the Spider's Nest room, there's a secret pressure plate that'll release a skeleton champion. Now that's another shot at getting a golden key or a token of honor. All in all, the Goblin Caves is for fighting, for ratting, for taking out some of the bosses, getting out quick. Now if you're the fighting type, in those rooms we mentioned before, you're going to want to do your best to avoid third parties. But keep in mind where those modules are placed on the map and where potential players are going to be coming from. If you're a rat, well, frock ya. Nah, just kidding, mate. Best bet is to go out into the storm and take one of the rope exits or the elevator exit in the cave pit hall. Last thing I'll say about the caves, seems to be a place that's favored by all the martial classes, fighters, barbarians, melee clerics. Just keep that in mind when you're selecting your kit to go into the caves. Next, we've got the Frost Mountain, personal favourite of the guild, the most current wipe. Typically this dungeon is pretty low population, and the mobs are particularly punishing. They've got a little bit more HP, and most of the hits that they deal are going to slow your move speed by quite a bit. A lot of adventurers avoid coming here after their quests are completed for that fact alone, and it seems to be a favoured place by sorcerers, druids, and warlocks in the solo lobbies. Not a good reason not to come. But since the population is lower than other dungeons, this is a good place to bring your duos and trios team if you're looking to practice your PvP. Because of how nasty the mobs are, you're less likely to get third-partied here without a significant heads up. And there's still pretty good loot to be had. This is the only dungeon that hasn't been randomized yet, though it probably will be in the future. For now, the center module holds a 5-use treasure hoard, and it's where most of the fighting happens. Also, it should be noted that the harpies on the Frost Mountain are likely to drop daggers, so if you're hunting for a good dagger, killing them might get you lucky. Deeper into the abyss, it's even safer once you're comfortable with dealing with the brutal PvE. The map is easy to traverse around the edges, and there's some pretty solid loot to be had here, either farming Wendigo hearts, for crafting the frostbitten mallet, or the golden chests here that sometimes spawn can provide you with unique gear. And lastly, learn the Wyvern. You'll thank me later. A rogue with double jump can clear it pretty fast. Giant shielder. Alright, he's going to move his shield left and right. If you go to the other side, he will miss you. So by standing back, you can see where he switches the shield. You go to the opposite side of the shield. Stab him maybe 3 or 4 times. Back up. Give yourself a little bit of room to space it out. Put him down very easily. Now when you're fighting the Yeti, you kite to the left, and then you kite to the right. If he can't hit you, something to keep in mind is you don't want to have your back pressed up against the wall. You'll be moving a lot, and it's easy to get pinned up against that wall. Okay, now for the Wendigos. They can give people a little bit of trouble. Most people wind up cheesing them, but again, as a rogue, very simple. Pull them. So there's 2 ways you can kill him. Wait for him to attack, stab his heart. A few stabs to the heart and he dies. The last dungeon, the place where everyone is at, is a forgotten castle. This dungeon continues to be the fan favorite of most of the players. It's got the most quests, the longest run time, the most bosses, the best chances at high tier loot. Everything you could ever dream of in a dungeon. Now loot wise on the ruins, top floor, if you're not here for quests, Spectral Knight, Banshee, you're probably hitting the graveyards and you're going down into the crypts. Most PvPers here are going to make a sweep through a few modules on the ruins before going deeper to look for more players. If you can wait them out and do most of your exploring around towards the maybe latter third of the map timer, most hostiles will be off of the map. The first floor definitely favors your ranged classes, your rangers, your wizards, your sorcerers, your warlocks. There are big open modules with very little in the means of cover. They're very, very bad to fight on for rogue unless you're bringing double jump. Double jump will definitely allow you to traverse a lot of the vertical terrain to either jump on someone unsuspectingly or leap over to get to the next module while everyone else is sort of forced to go through a door. Ruins modules are relatively easy to traverse. You typically can run through them, shut a door behind you, and pin a bunch of mobs there. But you should be careful of that because there's going to be other players that are doing that. So if you go into a room, it's very easy for you to potentially run into a bunch of congested mobs, and then you'll get trapped and possibly taxed by the PvE. Now deeper down, the crypt is filled with a lot of good loot. The maze, the vault, the big wheel are all modules here that have 5-use treasure hoards. And it's possible with map randomization that a few of these can be on the map at the same time. The main attraction of the crypts, though, are going to be the boss summons. So for those of you out there looking for a little PvP, there's a lot on the line if you're trying to intercept. You can almost guarantee that anyone who's bringing in one of the boss summons, whether it be the horn or the lich's potion or whatever, they're going to be sporting pretty decent gear. And now if you're a rat, well, it's best to scout out POIs first with an escape plan in mind. Otherwise, hit the reds and do the ratting in the Inferno. People typically shy away from the Inferno. Either they've collected enough loot between the top 2 floors to just escape, they've gotten some PvP, they've gotten a kit that they need to extract with, they're low on resources. It's hard to plan for a 3-floor dungeon. But this is where the guild truly shines. Mob density goes way up, mob difficulty goes up, more nightmare mobs here, everything's pretty much nightmare. There's narrow passageways, the lack of doors with windows, druids. And punishing sub-bosses can make clearing a safe trail through the storm an absolute slog. My advice to you is to get comfortable down here. If you master the PvE, you can seriously use it to your advantage. One of the first things that you're going to want to do in the Inferno is just clear to the circle if you don't have an advantageous spawn point. You can stick to the edges of the circle, but almost always it's going to run you into someone. And a lot of times you want to play the circle to your advantage. It can push people into rooms that are very treacherous, where they have little time to clear. If you can secure a central point to where the storm's going to be, you can have a massive advantage down here. Now, if you're just playing normal mode, just use the opportunity of being in the Inferno, loot up, learn the mobs down here, learn the sub-bosses. There's a lot of loose treasure on the ground. There's a lot of golden chests that spawn down here. There's a lot of really good opportunities to get some pretty decent gear. And the Ghost King is one of the more simplistic bosses to do. If you bring a couple of magic resistance potions, you can almost trivialize the main source of his damage, assuming that you can jump over his big crash out. Something to mention about one of the modules in the Inferno, the painful steps. If you're a rogue with double jump, it is possible for you to clear very minimally in the room. You can leave the zombies up on the bottom floor. You can just clear a couple of skeletons leading up to the main treasure pile that's at the top of the module there. You can send the big abomination down to the lower levels, and basically leaving the room very well protected, leaving yourself very well protected as you hit that treasure pile.
I think he's gonna do it again.
Alright, that's it.
Say something, Paranaz.
See you next time, ladies.
Hey, Guild, are you gonna pay or...
Ah.
Add those ales to my tab. Alright, initiate. It's do or die time. Time to put what you learned to the test. Meet us outside the Forbidden Castle's walls. And don't forget to bring a couple extra health potions. See you there. Guild leader, vanish!